Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Week 2 of the LCS Challengers League. The action is continuing with Day 2. It says, welcome Intro Flex, so of course, welcome Beatdown to the stream. So great to have you, and of course, I got these other guys. Kangas and Josh. It's just you guys. Well, what's up? How are you? Real quick.
That's got to be the best intro I think I've ever. You literally read the run of show and then introduce yourself.
Why is it there if not to be read?
It's a good point.
I don't know. I feel like that's how you cast those, Steve, right? That's how you do it every single time. It's like, well, it is 14 minutes time to see what's happening top lane.
If you don't do that today, I'll be really sad.
You're spoiling the technique, Josh. Also, yes, it is all scripted. I'm just reading from a script as to how the fight's going to go. Also, happy Daddy's Day to everybody out there.
Yeah, that's right. Happy Father's Day. If you want to, call your dad, and if not, understandable. Remember, call your dad, gamer. Oh, dude, yeah, what's going on with my camera? Can you guys still hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we still got you. We still got you.
So barring whatever's going on with my camera.
This was intentional that we picked set to be down there, by the way.
Yeah, of course. But anyways, guys, keeping the show rolling. We're gonna show our play of the week from week 1 once more. It was Mir who did it, so let's take another look at that. Any second now.
As the Umbro Glaive completed. Going for a very aggressive lethality build. Another Emperor's Divide onto APA.
Oh, look who's here.
Ultimate. Now the follow-up from Yuji trying to lock down this Nautilus, but he's very tanky. Maybe Winston will be enough to turn the play. It's traded. Mid laner for jungler, but Mir is a monster. Double kill on the Graves. Chasing onto Winsome with no summoner spells. And that is a triple kill to Team Liquid's jungler.
What a great play. Guys, I know obviously you thought about it. I want to hear your thoughts really quick, and I want you specifically to tell me why Quacker got robbed.
Okay. A lot of people felt Quacker got robbed because they did not understand the assignment that it was a Twitter poll to see what 2 plays were played on stream, so Twitch would vote on it. Mir did win out on the Twitch vote, but Quacker's play was incredible as well. If you didn't see the Twitter post, you can at least find it on there. But congrats to Mir for the triple kill and for being our first ever Play of the Week winner.
Let's go. Also, I think we know who the daddy is for week 1 at least. We'll see who daddy is for week 2 because we still have a lot of time left to go.
I don't think that's the name of the award, Josh. I don't think
it can be. We
can
can actually
whatever
change
we
that.
want it to be.
Right, we are the broadcast. Can you remember that, Kangas?
Emily, we need some some focus on the desk right now.
Yeah, okay, fine. You want focus? Let's focus on just a reminder that, of course, this split, you can subscribe to LCS Challengers and to Path to LCS. All the money, half of the money, goes towards the teams and the players.
Do I still have it?
You subscribing puts money directly into their pockets. And you get some sweet emotes like Kangas is showing. And why don't we show you an ad? If this hasn't convinced you, why don't we throw it to an ad to convince you some more? Has this ever happened to you? What about this? As gamers, these sorts of things happen all the time, which is why we made LCS Challengers League emotes. Impress your friends. Stop sucking. Make better choices.
Since subscribing to LCS_Challengers, my confidence has never been higher.
And with 3 easy clicks, yours can too. Plus, you'll be directly supporting the players in the league.
So what are you waiting for? Come join us!
Well, guys, I don't know about you, but I don't think there's anything more convincing about any way to convince you more to buy subscriptions so that you can support some of these players. Kangas, you have
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's definitely the best way. You get these. Also, I highly recommend if you're going to run in a park, watch where you're going and don't spin in a circle and then run it, top speed in a direction right afterwards. I did almost fall at the end there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just glad that you didn't get arrested. That's the kind of things like, what is this guy?
What is California law that would allow that?
There are rules about where you're allowed to film. We might have been pushing the limit on some of that, but there's nobody else in the background. We're fine.
I guess
just someone biking off in the side. We're okay.
Probably got more in trouble for filming in the grocery store. We're not going to talk about that.
No? Okay, so one thing quickly that I want to know, what guys, besides the emotes that are you guys, what are your favorites?
Ooh.
Besides me?
Besides you, obviously, because like we're all going to say us.
I like the Rizzler. I'll give it to Beatdown. I
Hey.
think the Rizzler is like S tier. It's really good. It's really good.
I mean,
Zan, subscribe now.
I gotta say, just like the Yumi, just like looking off in the
stare?
1,000-yard
Yeah,
stare.
that was
like,
so
that
good.
was pretty
Really
good.
funny.
Also, it is really unfortunate the character is as good as it is right now, because every time I see that character picked, like that is the emote that I just kind of want to see. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's happening again. It's coming
in
back.
Pickban, if Yumi's locked in, can we just put the emote
I was just
over
thinking
it?
that. I think
the
I want
icon?
chat to spam it too, just because the champ is broken. Shouldn't be getting through champ select. Yeah. Anyways, we're talking about the past. We're talking about our ads, but I think the next thing we got to start getting to is the matches we have on the day. But actually, I lied to you. Before that, we want to talk about the standings, just to see kind of how things shaped up yesterday and how that influenced where teams are at. I mean, already we got a couple of surprises. E.g., we were kind of questioning where they were going to be, and it's looking like top 3 is pretty good, even though they are tied with 4 other teams. But what do you guys think? What stands out to you?
I mean, I think the big thing is that Evil Geniuses are not only in this spot, but they did it after going 1-1 against Disguise yesterday. Game 1 was, kind of thorough thrashing coming out from Disguise, but Game 2, Evil Geniuses fought that one back, and Ryoma in particular, as we saw in the interview, had a massive stun to keep them up here in the top half of the standing.
For me, it's that we have a clear favorite in TLC early on, but we don't have a clear last place team. We actually do have a clump towards the bottom, and it isn't necessarily the teams I would have predicted. I think Fear definitely lower than expectations coming into it. Shout out to AoE and Supernova for picking up more wins than necessarily everybody in the community had predicted going into this summer. So I think it's awesome to see. I mean, there's only 10 teams this time around, but already we got narratives building and also narratives that were coming in completely shot.
The thing that's nice about it is that even with less teams, there are more individual matches, so it almost kind of evens out totally, and there's going to be a lot more chances for teams to be able to get it back.
And
we talked
rematches.
about, and what, sorry?
Rematches. We get to see
And
teams
rematches,
play
that's
against each other
right.
again.
It is double round robin, which is really exciting there. And speaking of some of the teams we mentioned, they are playing today. I mean, we're going to start the day off with Maryville versus Wildcard, followed by Team Fish Taco, FlyQuest Challengers, and then we're going to cap it off with Evil Geniuses Challengers versus Cincinnati Fear.
Yeah. I am particularly excited today for, honestly, the third one. Evil Geniuses Challengers
Me too.
versus Cincinnati Fear, because I think these are the two teams where there is still the most questions about how strong these two teams actually are. Yesterday, Eric and I had a discussion about, where Evil Geniuses are likely to end up in the standings, and Fear, I mean, now that they are playing with a couple of new players, they have not been living up to the incredibly high expectations we had placed on them based on their performance in spring.
Back in spring, the question was, are they overperforming, or is this what should be expected from them? Top 4 finish, not too bad. But yes, with the 2 players swapped out, a lot of eyes will be on Fear. How can they try and turn their season around, their summer split around? Evil Geniuses coming in hot. But I'm still excited for the first series, too, because obviously Collegiate, the one representative in the tournament, has an opportunity to pick up some more wins.
Yeah, I agree too. I think Maryville, we finally got to see a better look at what they're actually capable of. Scary Jerry mentioned in the interview that they were kind of struggling just because they were playing on 13-9. And for those who were paying attention, 13-10, 13-11, they're slightly different patches than
Just
before.
a little. Yeah, a little bit.
Just a bit. So, Kangas, right off the bat, talk to me about Maryville.
So Maryville are coming in off of a arguably disappointing end to their CLOL season. They were very vocal about wanting to win CLOL. They made finals, picked up a game, did not win the entire event. So expectations were a little bit lower than coming into this one. Yes, they're the first collegiate team to qualify for NACL. That is still incredibly impressive. But now it is, okay, where's their motivation? Because it's summer season. Their goal was CLOL. If you lose that, how do you reignite the spark as a competitor, as a player? Because we know that there's players on this roster that still want to go pro. Some that are saying, we're here to support those players that want to go pro and help them out in their journey. How do you ignite that spark is the big question that I have for Maryville right now.
Yeah, and before we switch rosters, Josh, I have a quick question for you. Scary Jerry said in the interview that this wasn't what Maryville are capable of. Do you think he was playing better after what happened this past weekend so far?
Yes, but I think that's because the bar was not that high. Scary Jerry did not have a particularly impressive week 1. The fact that he was able to play a little bit better here in week 2 is already a good sign, but they've had a little bit more time to scrim on the patch thus far. I think Maryville should be doing better than what they showed us in week 1, but the question is how much better.
Fair. And I mean, their opponents, another one who are actually, before we get to that, we're going to look at Wildcard very quickly just to kind of get an idea of another team who we had, I think, more expectations for. They're doing okay so far, but I think with the support shakeup, things haven't been looking as solid as I think we saw in the past, but Zamudo's been a great addition, Josh.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth noting at the same time that while Zamudo has been playing well, it is worth noting that we are expecting Dawnbreak to be here for the long haul from this position, right? We know that Duo King was playing before, Dawnbreak came in, and they looked good right off the bat, having added him back into the roster. So I feel like Wildcard with this upgrade here in the top lane are definitely on track to have another great season.
And Josh, I want to throw it back to you really quick because soon we're going to start looking back at Maryville and kind of seeing some of the footage that you and I were even talking a good bit about how they play the map. It's going to be represented in some of these clips. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, one of the big things that we have been noticing with Maryville has been true of them for years and years, right? This is a team that will spend a lot of time really full sending it in a lot of these different fights, and it's one of the reasons why they have been so polarizing in a lot of their games. When Odd and Niles are ahead already and they can get these fights started, they are in a fantastic position to keep fighting, but if they're behind, they go to the exact same game plan, except now they don't have the money, and they're very likely to be giving up a ton of gold in the sideways. You'll oftentimes notice that while Maryville is setting up, they're sacrificing here, they're sacrificing a wave up in the top lane. That's going to be bouncing back towards Bradley. You have a wave sacrificed in the bottom lane, and you're not getting one pushed in the mid lane. So every time Maryville goes for one of these fights, they need to win it a lot harder than a lot of the other teams in the league.
Yeah, and I'm happy you mentioned that because the reason being, if they go even in the fight or if they lose the fight, it's not just the fight that's happening. It's everything else on the map that they're sacrificing just to get to that moment, which oftentimes you can argue maybe they're even there a little bit earlier than they need to be, or they're just hard committing when they shouldn't be. So that's why I chalk it up maybe a little bit to preparation and nerves coming in. I know that you were also mentioning, though, that this is really their first weekend that they've had time to scrim together, because they went from CLOL, different patch, just immediately the next weekend into week 1 of Challengers League. That's really tough for a team to completely shift to a new patch and also practice and get ready for a whole new tournament.
Yeah, it is. By no exaggeration, League of Legends has shifted quite a bit in these last couple of patches, so I think it is fair and only a little bit of copium to say, oh, this isn't what Maryville are capable of. They've been practicing, it doesn't count yet. And even though they split the series against Supernova, I think we finally got to see a little bit of what this team is capable of, and we'll get more of that opportunity for them to kind of test themselves against Wildcard, a team who we still kind of have bigger expectations for. But before we get to that, I referenced the Scary Jerry interview and his opinion on their performance and what it's been like trying to adjust to this new patch. So why don't we go ahead and hear what he had to say?
Yeah, this week's been rough. We've been playing 2 patches behind for we've been playing on 39 for 2 months. That's some cope. We're not playing the best right now, but I think as we play better competition, we're going to be challenged more, and as long as we're able to rise to the challenge and just learn off of, the egregious amount of mistakes we're making, we'll be able to get a lot better. So that's the hope. Yeah, we're going to learn from our mistakes.
Josh, that was you.
That was me.
Him. Yeah, and I mean, you already had a comment on that, but what do you think about what he has said so far? Do you think Maryville are going to continue improving, or do you think they're going to bottom out soon?
I expect that they will improve a little bit, right? A lot of people were looking at Maryville and didn't have them particularly high in their power rankings before the split actually started. But it is worth noting that they've already done better than CLG Faith, even over these first 2 weeks. So we know that Maryville will have an opportunity to continue improving. But the one question is, we've seen these players for years and years, right? Their playstyle hasn't changed a whole lot over that time. And so while we know that Odd Orange has already been stepping up, we're going to need to see players like Niles and Scary Jerry really stepping up to fill the shoes of what we have seen these teams do in the past.
And particularly Scary Jerry and Zyko, the two players that we were talking about as like the ones that are still looking for that next step in their career. Odd Orange and Niles, they've gone on the record saying, look, we've had our opportunity to make it to play at academy level, LCS level. We're no longer having that be our focus to get back to that. We were focused on CLOL, and now for Challengers League, we want to kind of pass the baton to the next generation of players that are coming in and have that competitive drive to make that run. So I think that will also put a magnifying glass on those players that want to continue competing and want to make it to that next level.
And speaking of players, next generation, especially one in particular, let's take a look at some of the wildcard footage. Kangas, I'm going to go back to you because I know you were the ones who grabbed these clips. I mean, particularly, there's a lot of good talent on this team. Yeah. Zamudo.
Yeah, Josh wants to take all the credit. Zamudo. I want to talk about this player on Wildcard. He's going to be up against Niles today, one of the players with the most experience on Maryville. And Zamudo, for a rookie coming in, has really impressed me with his willingness to just be a body and say, good luck getting past me, enemy team. No matter what he's on, mostly it's Gragas. He's played like 6 out of 8 games as Gragas. He did get an Ornn game. He's got crazy engages like this. And that last play, I tried to find one that really encapsulated what he does on the Rift, which is basically walk into bushes blind and say, bet. Either engage on me or you're not going to be there, and now I can hold this choke point. And that confidence in a rookie player and also the team's ability to follow up when he does find somebody is getting Wildcard a lot of positive results so far. Yeah. So I'm very happy with how Zamudo is slotted in with the team.
Definitely feels like every day with Zamudo is Flop of Friday, right? Because he's just ready to go for everything. He's always standing in that line. Like you were saying, he's daring everybody in the other team to try and take him on. And it's honestly impressive how well he has slotted into Wildcard. And the big question has been, we know all these players have been looking good. Can Lens in particular adjust his playstyle now that he is more of a main character for the roster in terms of the damage that they need to do?
There it is, guys. We've set up the matchup. We've set up what we're looking out for. Maryville versus Wildcard is almost ready to go. Kangas, I want to give you a chance to give your final thoughts before we go to game. What are you expecting? What are you looking for? People don't ask to play by
Gragas. Let's get Zamudo on something that's not Gragas. He's played way too many Gragas games. We get it. You're good at it.
Though. What else is there?
Well, I don't know. I want to see what I care.
Phelios?
Yeah, bring back the Karthus. We've been talking about Phelios. We hyped up Wildcard to have like these crazy drafts, and it's honestly not really delivered yet. Other than that one card this game. They got that one, but I want to see some more spice.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully Wildcard can bring out the spice, and maybe Maryville will be able to up their record just a little bit more. Anyways, I'm going to leave it to you guys, because I'm not casting today, so have fun. Take it away.
I beat down. Yeah, it's just you and me now, Joshi. You're stuck with me.
Oh. Perfect. This is exactly what I wanted for my daddy's day. But as we do have this coming through, right, we did hear that Scary Jerry started off by saying that this weekend they were going to go at least 3-3. They've already gotten one win off of their series yesterday, and this is probably going to be the toughest one for them over this week in order to find at least one more win here. So this is going to be the big challenge for Maryville. Can they take down Wildcard, who seem to have been surging, especially now that Dombre has come back? It doesn't feel as though Wildcard has any obvious weak links, and the only place I can think of for Wildcard to be attacked is actually the bottom lane, where Lens and Dombre seem to be a little bit more susceptible to ganks than Zamudo or Saligo.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at Maryville's schedule, I'm happy you talked about that. If their goal is 3-3, they split the series against Supernova, which probably would have been the team that they were hoping to get a 2-0 over, which means that now they're either going to have to split series for the rest of the week, or I mean, they got AoE coming up on Monday.
It's not easy either.
If they don't do it here, they got to 2-0 that one. We'll see if they have it in them. They are focusing that bot lane a little bit. They have the Aphelios ban.
Yeah, I've noticed recently, especially on this patch, we have been seeing a lot of teams kind of playing chicken, right? Teams saying, I'm not going to ban the actual OP things. I'm going to ban the things that I don't want to play against. So that's been leaving Milio, Zeri, Yuumi, Gragas, all available all the time. And so it looks like Wildcard this time are going to be going over to Lens. They are going to give them the Zeri, but it's almost definitely not going to get paired with the Yuumi. I can't imagine Maryville would be willing to give that over. But what do Maryville want in compensation? Milio has been the most common pick in these spots, but it's the kind of thing where it leaves open a lot of counter picks towards Wildcard side of the map.
Okay, you're right on the Yuumi. I think that this is really smart for 2 reasons. 1, Zeri Yuumi is disgusting together, and 2, I am not a believer in the Melio Zeri combo. I know some people still think it's good, but I just don't think that Zeri gets nearly as much from the extra auto range as other AD carries like Aphelios, like even Jinx or Kog'Maw, some of those more hyper carries. So I like this for both of those reasons. We'll see if Wildcard still go with the Melio, or if they go for something different, because you can also try and counter the Yuumi with things like the Blitzcrank, things like the Nautilus that can just engage in on top of you.
And I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten that before Yuumi really took off, the counter matchup the common pairing for Zeri was actually Lulu, right? This was the other thing that you were playing alongside it in order to beat up on things like Lucian, Nami. And so now as we're going to be looking into it, it is going to be Dombre going over towards the Melio. But I also want to say, historically, the LeBlanc versus Ahri matchup was much more of a skill matchup because it was all about whether or not LeBlanc could utilize the chain in order to outrange anything that Ahri could throw. But now, Static Shiv exists.
Yep. Are we going to see a Static Shiv Ahri, though?
Probably.
Because I have heard rumblings of that. Is that coming out?
Yeah, I mean, if you were watching the OQs earlier, you were able to see multiple players playing the Ahri with the Static Shiv. I have tried it out, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so dumb. I can just split push on Ahri now without a whole lot of repercussions. But the other thing, we do see Maryville, they are going over to Ezreal, who has been benefiting from a buffed Triforce. But the Ezreal Yuumi, really hard to get onto for a Wildcard, but they still have 2 picks, and it's not as though Keel and Zamudo are lacking on champions that can't dive effectively.
And it's not a traditional pairing with the Yuumi in the sense of having a hyper carry that can just blow out damage with the Yuumi on top of them, keeping them safe. This is more about just kind of absorbing potential dives and ganks. Maybe this is a sense either Scary Jerry just likes his pick right now, like you said, Triforce was buffed, or they're not fully confident in Get Back's ability to control Saligo, who has been doing a great job in general of getting out of lane so far and impacting the rest of the map. I know he had a couple of rough Annie games in there, but the LeBlanc is different for him, and I definitely have high expectations. And Get Back in general has kind of been struggling here in the Challengers League early on in summer.
It's been interesting to compare and contrast how Get Back was performing during the CLOL season versus how he's been performing once he has hit the Challengers League. He was, in a lot of ways, considered the main opportunity for Maryville to build differences, especially against teams like University of St. Thomas. But now that they're playing in the Challengers League, have not been performing to that same level. And as we get back into the draft, we were saying that Wildcard, they need some tools to actually get on top of Get Back and Scary Jerry. Gragas has been taken away, the Diego's been taken away from Keel, and at the very least, we are probably going to be seeing Zamudo on a 3rd champion that is not Gragas. We've already seen the Karthus, we've already seen the Ornn. What else is he going to be bringing out today?
I mean, it's going to be blind picked, whatever it is. This makes sense. Odd Orange on an Assassin jungler for Kha'Zix. Now, Wildcard, they have to lock in a jungler and a top laner for themselves. Couple options still available for Zamudo. We'll see what they want to go towards. Even things like Scion, maybe, if you just want a front line for your team. I expect something that will just play weak side and try and survive.
Yeah, I mean, normally I would have said Wildcard could go for the Wukong here, but I do like this Poppy coming through. There are a couple of important dashes between Get Back and Odd Orange, but I'm already looking at this jungler coming out for Maryville, and we have to say that Odd Orange has been the best performing member of this team so far throughout the first 2 weeks, and a big part of that has been their ability to make plays. There are a lot of squishy members here on the side of Wildcard that this Kha'Zix can prey upon, and while Keel, we know, has played a lot as the Kha'Zix, it's not necessarily true that they have had a lot of experience against it, and so we haven't seen these setups from Wildcard really relying on having Zamudo or Saligo off to one side. They are now in a spot where they can be preyed upon by Odd Orange. So we'll see if Wildcard can get far enough ahead that they don't care, or if they will have to adjust some of the setups that they've been going for.
They do now have 2 less squishy members with the Poppy and the Ornn locked in, so they have a front line. They've built Engage. They've built a more, I guess, kind of facilitating top half of the map to allow the carries to pop off. But Niles on the Gwen, it can be really tough for an Ornn to keep Gwen under control come mid and late game. You really don't have the ability to stop her from just running through your waves and hitting your turret. If you ever group up with the team and leave her alone, that's really rough. She can do a lot of work in a side lane.
And the other thing is, if you look at the Wildcard roster, you have the Ore and the Poppy, but they are not going to be doing the bulk of the damage. Most of the damage coming out from Wildcard is from range. And guys, this is not news at this point. Gwen is immune to anything that's outside of that circle. Wildcard is going to have a really tough time trying to fight Niles, especially in these short fights. And so we were already talking about how Lens needed to be this big damage member for Wildcard because they weren't having Moose Hater go for the big flanks up in the top side. Now, even more of a focus putting on to Lens because Wildcard are the team that wants these fights to go long.
I actually am leaning a little bit more Maryville's side here based on pick and ban. I don't know if I'm alone in that. Let us know in Twitch chat, obviously, who you are rooting for with WC or MU to support the team you're cheering for, or just whoever you think is going to take the win right here, right now, as we're loaded in to game number 1. Day 2, week 2 for the Challengers League broadcast.
Yeah, I gotta say, if nameplates were off, I would be feeling a little bit more like a cow throwing some moves in the chat. But this is definitely a spot where you have to take the player difference into consideration, right? Soligo has been arguably the best mid laner that we have had in the league thus far, consistently coming ahead in a lot of these different lanes. And Soligo is also the kind of player who is really good at interacting with opposing flankers, right? This is what he has built himself up as, and that's going to be how Orange is going to need to play. Uh-oh, Dombre!
Dombre kind of walks in to a bush he was not expecting enemy champions to be in, and gets punished for it. That is healed down, and he will be coming to lane a little bit late now.
A little bit late. That is the Ignite coming out from Scary Jerry, which I hadn't even noticed that he had taken. But this will give Maryville's bottom lane a little bit more opportunity to try and punish any aggression there. On the other side of the map, though, it looks like we're building up for a 3v3.
Ooh, Niles is actually collapsing on this.
Everyone's here.
He was watching. Heel is in a really rough spot. Everybody's surrounding him. Watch the jungler. Niles tries to run through Zamudo, taking a lot of damage on the way there, but they are on Keel. Can he survive? Flash away. No flash follow. So just a couple jungle camps traded, and Keel gets out of there.
Wow, what a bizarre opening from both these teams, right? Orange is going to be really delayed on their clear. Keel is going to be really delayed and also really unhealthy in their clear. The bottom lane, Dombre is getting to lane late, and Nas is going to have to teleport up into the top lane. And so this is going to be a spot where none of these players are going to be familiar with how exactly this map state is supposed to be playing out. But Jerry already going very aggressive, getting some of these big chunks out. And the thing that they will have to be careful of is Keel needs to try and avoid Orange for the foreseeable future.
Get back in Soligo, trading heavily here. Get back not winning out on that one. So Soligo early on showing his dominance in the mid lane. We're going back to that bot lane as well. Really punishing the fact that Dombre came to lane late. They got control over the wave, hit level 2 first, and Dombre is a support. Just had his first series yesterday. We'll get back to that point because Keel's going for an invade.
Yeah, this is a crazy read coming out from Keel, right? He's not doing any of his camps. He's done Wolves and Raptors. Gonna Hex Flash this wall.
Can look for the Hex Flash. Oh, get back with a fast reaction time, but will it be enough to survive?
Wow.
It is not. First blood picked up by Keel.
Even with a great flash from Get Back to make sure they don't get stunned by the heroic charge, still ends up going down. Will lose a couple of minions for it, and Keel committing super, super hard. We saw him do this on the Kindred before, where he gave up a bunch of minions.
Dombre, ooh, it's a flash away right there. Not winning these trades. This is something crazy. I know that it was impressive play in the mid lane, but since there's so much action happening in bot lane, I just want to jump on my soapbox. Ezreal's OP right now, everybody. He is so strong early with Press the Attack. He does so much more damage than you expect as these squishy enchanters. You kind of forget that Ezreal can pop you with a really small health bar and very low base armor that Emilio's packing. X-Flash from Keel might be enough to save them, though. Scary Jerry positions well enough, does not get punished.
Yeah. But this is exciting to see coming up from Scary Jerry as well, right? That hits Dombre, that could actually kill him. That is wild, but Scary Jerry was one of the players that we were criticizing their laning phase as well, right? Consistently falling behind. We were saying that one of the places that you could potentially attack a Wildcard is the bottom lane. They have been rather susceptible to ganks, and so Keel, I love the fact that he goes from Wolves, Raptors, mid lane to Krugs to make sure that he's there to stop Orange from going for that dive.
While he was down there, yes, he stops the dive, but Odd Orange is able to pick up the red buff, I believe, was hovering around that area. And now they have a little bit of ward coverage down there too, so they'll see if Keel's coming by again, but now we get the resets. Zyko resetting off timer with Scary Jerry as Odd Orange jumps mid lane. Keel there to cover the gank again. Keel's actually doing a really good job of just tracking where Odd Orange is. We've seen 2 plays in a row now make it 3, where he has spotted Odd Orange, known exactly where the Kha'Zix is, takes away the Scuttle Crab, and is fine. Odd Orange, I don't think you have any business to try and chase him down.
Yeah, I mean, look at the boots that Keel has started with, right?
Oh,
boots
wow.
of swiftness. He is super, super fast. There's no way that Odd Orange can convince Keel to stay between that and the phase rush. And so we are seeing that Keel kind of getting away with a lot of these more unusual paths because they are preying on where they're expecting Odd Orange to be and where they expect Odd Orange to not be. Now they might be punished by the mid lane, but it is still fantastic to see that Keel, a very adaptable jungler who has been known to play a lot of unusual things, is once again finding some of these small leads here on the Poppy, which we've really only seen Shaden play throughout the course of this summer split.
Yeah, reminder, Keel was that new player back in the day. Had a lot of cool, unique picks. Is behind in clear to Odd Orange right now, but is still reading where the Kha'Zix is. That's half the battle. If the Kha'Zix gets a little ahead in farm, I don't consider that the end of the game. It's still fine as long as he's not picking up all those kills and getting hyper-accelerated into the gold department that way. So Bax gets the Serrated Dirk and another longsword, and Odd Orange is back onto the map. Not a lot to affect, but Dragon is on the table, so potentially teams will start looking at that as the big objective.
Yeah, and now that this is coming through, right, we have to take a look at where some of the Avengers have gotten picked up. And Celigo, even though they don't have a full item completed yet, is very ahead.
For it.
They wanted to do it again. Oh?
Keel this time is getting punished by Odd Orange.
That's just rude.
The Swifty boost make you get around fast, but that's a Dirk on the Kha'Zix. I was talking with Rafa a little bit about Kha'Zix and his power curve. He is a pretty big power spike. Once you hit that first Serrated Dirk, you can't really fight him very much after that.
Oh, he doesn't see him.
Read this back. Oh, no, he's looking for the gank instead. I believe Keel finished, so Celigo is alone right now, has flashed, doesn't need to use it, had the ultimate available and just distorts over the wall.
Yeah, that's an ultimate from Get Back as well, as bottom lane continues to trade, but Keel getting back out of that situation, Celigo not going down, is a pretty big win here for the side of Wildcard. Now, across the map, we are still seeing that Scary Jerry and Zyko have continued to build a small lead here in the bottom lane as Niles uses the Ghost.
Ooh, needlework. Oh, misses. Mood was able to dodge out on that one, and Scary Jerry burns Flash to get away from the gank bot lane, so Summoner Spell down.
Yeah, all over the map, people are continuing to fight in this one, and I think this is even a little bit more bloody than I was expecting. I was expecting a lot of heavy trading, but not necessarily to this degree. And now Odd Orange thinks it's his turn.
Okay, Yuumi slow onto Lens. Ghost is down, but Flash is up, so Lens was fine no matter what. And Odd Orange just goes back into the jungle. This is, yeah, very active jungling so far to start off this game. They are consistently going into these lanes. Keel just walks up again as Wildcard look to pressure this wave, push Scary Jerry and Zyko back, but the Dragon's been started by Odd Orange. Do they want to commit to this? It would be dangerous. Yeah, they back off.
Yeah. I mean, it's so scary, right? When Celigo is this accelerated compared to Get Back, it's really tough for Maryville to try and go for any of these plays because it is so much about who starts the fight from these positions. And Keel, I mean, you've seen, he's been playing the same way like Zamuna, right? Just flop a Friday every single time, trying to make sure that Odd Orange can't get nothing done.
Joshi, I know that we've been talking about it a little bit, at least coming into the day. I want to do a quick check-in. How close is Celigo to the item that must not be named?
Oh, the Taser Goad. You know,
Is that what we're calling it now?
Yeah. You know,
Cattle
it's a Warhammer
prod.
reference. You got to put it right in there. And so Wildcard, with Celigo on this, will suddenly have a ton of extra tools to move the LeBlanc around the board. He's actually pretty close. I think he needs a dagger, and then it's like 800, I want to say, after that. But
So probably next back, we're expecting.
Next back.
Niles does a little
He's
bit
already
of proxy farming right now. Zamuda, ooh, let's be careful here. They don't know the Odd Orange is in the brush.
Oh, they grounded him!
Steadfast presence from Keel just keeps him locked in place. Can they get Niles? It is a trade. Zamuda will go down as well, but Celigo roamed up to join the fight, and that's a double kill over to Keel. 3-0 on the Poppy.
Go to your room, mister. Getting the ground there on Odd Orange without even knowing he's around the side. Shuts down any opportunity for Maryville to do anything in that last fight. Even though Zamudo goes down, it's a big win coming through for Wildcard here anyway. This is the big thing, right? As Zamudo is trading and trying to catch Niles on the edge of everything, he has no idea, but he catches the leap anyway. Forces the flash out from Odd Orange, and now he doesn't have to leap. It's on such a long cooldown when you don't have the reset. Since Saligo comes around, there's no way this bug gets out of that one. Keel coming through, super clutch, steadfast presence.
Oh, those are those moments I really wish we had player cams to get Odd Orange's reaction.
Like,
Let's
okay.
get Niles' reaction for that one, like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, honestly, pretty funny how that ends up working out, but it is an advantage here. Keel super accelerated in this game. This is very similar in some ways to the Kindred game where he had 4 kills. He was jungle surfing, going from lane to lane, finding everything, but he was super far behind in farm that time. This time, because he is stopping everything that Odd Orange has been trying to do on his pathing, he's not behind in terms of farm from this spot. And so, Wildcard have this big, powerful member, and uh-oh, it's the static shift coming through. Saligo gets a clear waves, and Keel gets a challenge for the dragon.
I would love it after this dragon take if we can look at Saligo's wave clear ability. But right now, it's about the action around the objective.
Well, they're going.
Orange jumps forward onto Lens. Ultimate popped. Donbray keeping them alive. Saligo and Keel now. They can jump in onto Scary Jerry. Flash not available, but can Arcane Shift over the wall to safety. But the same cannot be said for Odd Orange. Chased down by Donbray and Lens, and that's a kill over to Wildcard.
Yeah, super close for the damage there too, and Scary Jerry looking to find even more, but Get Back just hanging around. There's nobody low enough to actually really go for a play here, except maybe Donbray.
Get Back has the Spirit Rush. Do they want to go for it? You have Scary Jerry here. They're just trying to use their poke early on. Scary Jerry sidestepping everything. Actually, a lot of damage onto Saligo to start off. Donbray in trouble too. Get Back just takes him down. That Melio positioning a little suspect as Maryville will pick up a kill, and now they're back on the dragon themselves.
Fight up in the top lane. Doesn't look like it's going to be going anywhere. As
That was ambitious, Zamudo, but I respect it.
Well, I honestly think that Wildcard overextending it a little bit there. Donbray coming over like we were calling out. It's like Keel and Saligo are not vulnerable to Get Back's damage, but Donbray was, and that convinced Get Back to stick around for that play. Puts them in a very dangerous position because it means that Scary Jerry and Zygo can now move from the bottom lane at the same time. I think that was an uncharacteristic mistake for Wildcard around a lot of these objectives. They've been so good at making sure they can do everything, but Zamudo, if he shows, Odd Orange is right around the corner.
Niles is walking up.
Wrong bush.
Channeling the back, will commit to it. Okay, he's out of there, but that's Herald dropped by Odd Orange. Trying to funnel some more gold here onto Niles. Teleport was available though, so actually, Zamudo can push Niles up. I don't think Niles will get any of the gold. Yeah, it just goes to Odd Orange.
I mean, darn, your Kha'Zix gets, an extra kill worth of gold. Keel looking for Odd Orange.
Wait, let's keep it up there right now. What's going on? He has flashed over the wall onto Niles. Okay, Niles, Saligo's here. It's doomed. Keel says, hello, how's it going? Jumped right on top of me. Saligo now finds Odd Orange, the Kha'Zix in the jungle, but is able to run away as well. Well played by the mid laner and jungler of Wildcard, predicting exactly where Niles was going to be.
Honestly, I love watching Keel move around this map and play this game because he is so smart about where people can be and now spotting out where Odd Orange is. But he doesn't have anyone in the mid lane.
I don't think he realized that he was right there. Now he runs into Get Back. Oh, no charm. Maybe it was on cooldown. Couldn't quite tell, but Get Back will not land it onto Keel, who will just run away.
I do guarantee that Keel saw him because there was a blue trinket in the bush. So, at the very least, he does know about that. 4th kill goes over to Keel from this position. And, I mean, Saligo is going to be hard to control in the side lanes from this spot. And Get Back, while they have picked up a single kill, not going for the static shiv early and the electrocute means that they are less likely to be trying to counter with a static shiv of their own, which does create a situation where Saligo will be really strong in the side lane. Niles will be really strong in the side lane later on, and Zamudo will not be able to match super effectively.
Niles, speaking of, are you just going to get the solo kill? Flash out of Zamudo. The needlework does not land.
Oh, he's sticking
He's
around.
walking back up. This is really dangerous.
They get punished here. Rookie top laner. Oh, call the forge guard. Wait, he's locking Niles down. Wait, who's gonna kill him? Oh! Niles gets the turret just in time and claims the solo kill.
Wow, great stuff coming out from Niles to stand firm there. I was so ready to praise Zamudo for optimizing his Ornn combos, but Niles, completely uncontested, knows where everybody else is on the map, gets to take an extra couple of waves. And so, Niles also looking to be a huge threat later on in this game. And Steve, we know from CLOL how good he was on the Gwen. The triple kill, just standing and delivering, finding so much extra damage and the extra healing. This is a really good position for Maryville. We said we liked their draft. We said that they were not necessarily playing quite as well as we were hoping for. This might be their opportunity to pick up one of the wins that they need to hit that 3-3.
And it gives them an answer in the side lane as well against Saligo, who was getting to a point. I know Saligo wasn't getting all the kills, but with that sack shift completed, you can just control a side lane so easily. I was expecting that eventually we'll probably get the LeBlanc into that Gwen lane, but if Gwen's ahead, I don't think that you can really do that as Wildcard anymore. You want Saligo somewhere where he will not be answered, and that means you want him to get back instead. He's going for the Leandri's build here, so not necessarily terrible at wave pushing, but it's just not the same as that static shift. Herald started up though by Wildcard, pushed off. Niles walks in and Keel does not have the confidence to stand his ground.
And this is also very typical of Maryville, right? They go for a lot of these plays around the objectives. They look for the fights.
That's another needlework. They're just committing on to Zamudo. They know that there's no flash. They know that there's no ultimate and no backup. Keel has the ult, throws it out, gets get back out of there, but Odd Orange had enough damage to clean up the kill. Zamudo's down for the count.
Against a lot of compositions, that kind of play works for Zamudo, but not against this one. You have the Gwen, Kha'Zix, and Ahri who can all jump on top and chase you down. But we are seeing that Wildcard is preying upon the fact that Maryville was committing everybody to this play. We see Saligo pick up the bottom lane turret, go for a reset, and we'll be back on the map in time for the upcoming Dragon. And I think that will tell us a lot about how well Wildcard will be able to set up, and if Maryville, will they stay true to form and go for the fight instead of relying on Niles to split push?
We highlighted earlier that when Maryville go for the objective setup, sometimes it is at the detriment of what's happening elsewhere on the map. This time I felt more like Saligo was intentional about that, but Maryville are willing to drop those side lanes to get to that Herald, to get to that Dragon. They've gotten all of them so far. One Dragon, 2 Heralds in their pockets, and the next one has spawned. We can already see on the map how they want to set this one up. It's get back heading bot lane. Scary Jerry currently holding mid.
I also want to highlight, if we do see that Niles is split pushing, it'll be more a return to old style Maryville. This is how they used to play as Zamudo.
Okay, he's out of there. Needlework caught by Niles. And Maryville are actually not going for the Dragon. So despite the attention that they paid to the Herald, the fact that they had that to maybe use for the next Dragon, it is picked up by Wildcard instead. Zamudo now realizes I'm getting hunted by a Kha'Zix and a Gwen. Ghost is down, Needlework down though, so Niles can't really follow up, but that's a lot of damage on this turret. They're dropping the Herald. They're just going to commit to this.
Yeah, this is part of why, legitimately, partly because of these two, is why we can't have duo Q in like Masters Plus anymore. It's because this is what they do to people, right? This is how they were able to find so many of their wins as Lens goes aggressive.
Scary Jerry is safe though with Yuumi on top of him, but I'm happy you highlighted that. The history of these two players in the North American duo queue system. No longer a thing, but they still show their synergy together on the Rift when they play Collegiate and now in the Challengers League. It is keeping Maryville in this game because when we look at the kill count, Keel was very active early on, was kind of controlling the pace of the game, tracking Odd Orange, but since we've hit this kind of mid-game state, Odd Orange has actually managed a couple of really big plays now and has gotten himself back into the game.
I mean, it's both Rift Heralds that have gotten him so much of this money, right? We have seen he dropped the Rift Herald. He was able to get both of the plates off the top lane when they dropped it there. Then he drops another Herald for the second turret. That's effectively another kill. Odd Orange you can think of as effectively 3, 2, and 1 in terms of how much money he has actually picked up, which is basically even with Keel, who's gotten 4 kills to themselves. And so, as Wildcard starts to set up, they did pick up 1 Dragon, which slows down some of the power coming out from Maryville, but still doesn't answer the question of how Wildcard will be setting up a lot of these objectives. Because as we were touching on, it looks like we might be going back to El Clasico version of Maryville. It used to be Niles would stay in a side lane and would never group, and that is exactly what you can do, especially when you have Kha'Zix, who makes anyone trying to match those split pushers in a very precarious position.
And it's a good thing it's Father's Day. Niles currently the one controlling the temperature here in the side lane. Whether you like it or not, it's at the exact settings that he prefers.
Niles a dad?
No, but that's like a classic dad thing, right? You know, like they control the temperature.
Okay. Yeah, all right. You know, I've caught up.
Well,
Yeah.
which actually begs a really important question. What was your house temperature growing up? Like, did you have one standard set that was like, it has to be this all the time?
Well, I grew up in Seattle. We don't have like air conditioning, so like we were very much at the whims of whatever the temperature was outside. Yeah. By default, my mom liked to set it to like 71.
That's a good one. That's good.
Yeah.
For some reason, my family was a 69 kind of family. I don't know. Back to the map, though. Scary Jerry getting more priority here. Baron is spawning shortly.
Doing a good job.
Maryville are controlling the mid lane push, and Niles even groups up now. But everybody from Wildcard's ready for it. Ooh, a lot of damage.
Yeah, that was really bold from Niles to get that one auto attack down on the turret.
Worth.
Takes half his HP. But the big question that we were raising for Wildcard, right, was, is Lens going to be able to step up in this game? They do have 1 kill. It is Zeri, so we know that they shouldn't be expected to do a whole lot before they have 2 items completed. They are, you know, they're on a decent track to make that happen, but this is the strongest point of the game for Maryville, right? Because Get Back and Scary Jerry on 1 to 2 items is when these guys are at their strongest. I feel as though Wildcard probably wants to just leave this league on a sideline for a little bit longer. Buy some more time. By picking up the 1 dragon, you push back Maryville's win condition of the Soul an extra 5 minutes. That should be enough time to get Lens to at least 2, maybe 3 items.
I do love the Night Harvester pickup for Saligo as well. It does proc off of the Static Shiv. Kind of a crazy combo there. So not only are you wave clearing, but you're also chunking out opponents while you're doing so. We've seen, I believe it was even an LEC that was piloted earlier today. So shout out to the LEC viewers, especially if the raids already come in. Saligo trying his best on this build, and like you said, he is in the sideline getting a massive CS lead for himself over Get Back. Seems to be the win condition right now for Wildcard, despite the fact that Lens, we kind of had built up at the beginning of the day as the win condition for the team.
Yeah, who was doing this yesterday? We had another LeBlanc doing it on the Path to LCS stream, who was looking to basically like open the base by themselves. They weren't able to actually close it out. But it was the same matchup, right? It was the LeBlanc into the Ahri, who was consistently split pushing. And now Wildcard, surprisingly to me, I guess based on like the map state, they are lining up to try and go for this fight.
They're getting control over the mid push. Dragon's up in 15 seconds. Whoever can control this can then control the access point. But Maryville, they're so willing to drop it. I mean, Get Back will catch the wave, get chunked out a little bit for that. But Maryville are the team that will say, who needs a wave? We have the river. Walk into us, Wildcard. Zamudo usually is the one to do that, but he has shown that he's actually getting chunked out because he's had to build a lot of magic resist. Then Scary Jerry's poking him, Odd Orange is jumping on him. So it's not necessarily an easy job for a tank against his composition. So Dragon started up by Maryville. Wildcard still looking at the turrets, and they will trade the mid turret for that dragon.
Yeah, I really like this, right? You control the Spice, you control the world, except right now the Spice is that choke point. Zamudo getting pushed out at the end. Wildcard, I mean, they don't end up going for the fight. I feel like they could have gotten a little bit more if they had split up, but now they're looking for Niles.
Okay, Niles with the cat on his back says, I'm going to do my best Zamudo impression now. Show you the OG. Walks into a brush, not punished for it. Wildcard did not have enough members grouped up to try and take him down. Plus, like you said, all their damage is range, so Gwen can actually deal with that quite well.
Yeah. It is worth noting that the majority of Wildcard's ability to start these fights is predicated on Zamudo being around. So just keeping him here will give them opportunities to fight. But the other thing that you need to pay attention to here, Steve, is what level Zamudo gets. He's already given himself the Ornn upgrade, and every subsequent level from here, he will be able to upgrade another player's Mythic. And so, realistically, you're looking at 2 more Mythics that really need to be upgraded. You want to give 1,000 gold to Lens, you want to give 1,000 gold to Saligo. If you can do that, you've given yourself all the important carries, that extra gold to try and keep themselves ahead. But in order to get that experience, it's required for Zamudo to be in the sidelines. I feel like this has been a small oversight from Wildcard, who we have typically praised for their ability to control these objectives, be there first, and dare people to come in and fight them.
Well, Zamudo's made a reputation early in summer for being that player that will group up with the team, that will be that front line, be that body to buy space for everyone else. And sometimes that does come at the cost of walking away from that side lane where you're getting your own XP, you're trying to scale up yourself as the Ornn. So it might be a little bit delayed in that. I don't think it's doom and gloom yet. You are still at a very even game state. It's not like Maryville have jumped up to a lead right now. So honestly, I feel like they're the ones in the pressure seat. The pressure cooker is plugged in. Maryville are starting to feel that as they need to step up and figure out how to get themselves more of a purchase in this game.
I don't even know if I feel that's true, right? I feel like both of these teams are roughly even when it comes to the late game, and it's not obvious that it's easier for Wildcard to play. But Keel is looking for Niles right now to try and interrupt that.
This is the late game threat in my eyes for Maryville. The Gwen in a side lane or in a team fight. Now focused down, locked down, taken down. Zamudo picking up the kill off of the gank from Keel.
I gotta say, there is no team that does textbook fights and textbook gangs better than Wildcard. And I think that was a perfect example of that, right? Keel, Zamudo, pairing up all of their crowd control perfectly to guarantee that Niles has no opportunity to do anything at all. They are stun locked from 100% of their HP to 0. You see this coming out from Wildcard so often. But the point I kind of wanted to get to, Steve, was that Odd Orange has been the big hero for a lot of Maryville games, right? Because Maryville has no natural like front to back that they're playing for, Zeri is harder for them to actually play because that's where Zeri really thrives. Now Zeri has a lot of pressure getting put on them because they have a lot of characters diving on top of them, one of which you can't hit because they're immune, one of which you can't hit because they're invisible, and the other two, like the Get Back and Scary Jerry, they're very mobile, and you are a skill shot AD carry. And so I feel as though Len...
They also outrange you.
Exactly. Have a lot of pressure being put on them, and while they scale incredibly hard and do get very tanky, it is still a difficult spot for them to play. And so I don't feel as though Maryville are under that much pressure as long as they are not behind and they are able to win some of these fights with Niles on the side lane and Get Back isn't losing structures to Soligo. It really is going to come down to how we fight around probably Dragon 4 or 5.
We haven't accelerated up to that 4th dragon yet, so most likely that 5th. Wildcard do still have a little breathing room if they want to give over the next one to Maryville before they really have to start contesting for that soul. But also, we've seen that both of these teams historically this summer have been setting up very early for objectives. Maryville getting the better of it so far around this time. As we look at the current map state, 50 seconds for that dragon, we can already start to see the blueprint of how they want to set up for these objectives. Scary Jerry will go for a reset. Everybody else back on the map to control the choke point. Actually, Scary Jerry even stops the back. So we'll just commit to the play. I think the team's calling, no. Let's all just keep our priority. We have the choke point yet again.
Zamudo's not here just quite yet. They have used a lot of teleports in order to try and get into the mid lane from positions like this. They are level 15 now. There should be 2 Ornn upgrades available. And because Soligo is on the static shift build, you can actually threaten the Baron pretty reliably. Here they come.
Wildcard are doing just that. They say, all right, who needs the dragon entrance when we control the Baron as of now? Zamudo has now grouped up. Odd Orange is on vision. They know that Kha'Zix is very far away. Now he's walking back up. Ooh, Scary Jerry takes a chunk from Soligo right there. The Ezreal could be in trouble. Needs to throw out that poke. Zamudo now pops all the Forge God. Flash out from Scary Jerry. Turn the attention back onto Zamudo. Damage in. Niles goes forward, but now he's all alone. The rest of the team has to move up to try and save him, and he's taken down. Niles positions aggressively and is punished for it. Now the rest of the team chased down. Wildcard looking at Odd Orange, pushing the Kha'Zix away. Scary Jerry finds himself in a 2v1 on the side, though, and that's the clone that he takes down. Oh, might have just saved the play there for Maryville. Wildcard still want this, though.
Wow, I mean, Odd Orange is low, so Soligo will be able to teleport right back on in, but this is bold. These are a lot of low health bars. This is a perfect opportunity for Odd Orange to pick off a lot of these members.
The Kha'Zix resets, the Ezreal and the Ahri poke. They can put in work right here, right now. Maryville holding their ground, Wildcard doing the same. Focused on the Baron, they will secure it. Can Maryville clean up kills afterwards? Oh, they weren't positioned far enough up, and Wildcard get out. They just got the Baron on all 5.
Great stuff coming through from Wildcard. Really, really confident go for that kind of play. Now do they want to try and contest the Dragon as well? Zamudo has a teleport, but Soligo will not be there in time, and Maryville will find themselves their 3rd Dragon of the game. As we take a look at this, right, Zamudo, I think, uncharacteristically, again, goes a little bit early for trying to make this play happen. Odd Orange does have the Edge of Night as well as opportunities to flash away from this. Try and go for Scary Jerry, but aren't able to do it. And the big thing here is we were asking, will Lens be able to find an opportunity to hit? They were in this last fight, and now we're seeing an opportunity to dive top lane.
Ooh, Niles again in his side lane here. Buying a lot of time. Trying to drain tank as much as he can, but surely he does go down. Zamudo with another kill credit as the mid lane outer also fell. Wildcard getting a lot done with this Baron.
Yeah, this is going to be a really big opportunity for Wildcard as they are now moving over towards the top side of the map. They want to try and get as many structures as they can. And we are starting to see opportunities for Wildcard to use these setups more effectively as Zamudo builds out another item. This one going over towards, it looks like, heal. They're going to take another structure for themselves, grab a lot more gold. And the question here, Steve, is what are we going to see around Dragon 5? Because this game not going to end in the next 4 minutes unless there's a colossal mistake from one side or the other.
I mean, Wildcard could look to just hard pressure with this Baron. League fighting plays like that. Pretty big. They've already cracked the base now. Get Back has to Spirit Rush away. That's ult down on the Ahri. Okay, so it's not going to be the game end. Yeah. But Wildcard do take down 2 inhibitor turrets and 2 inhibitors here. Unless Maryville can do something crazy to stop this second one from going down. It's down. Garm lands on a Keel. Steadfast Presence trying to run away. Yuumi ult pop. Last chapter does not lock anyone down. Niles with the needlework will slow Zamudo, but it's not enough. Maryville are now out of their base. Could this be the reengage? Nice start from Get Back. Takes down Lens over the wall. But the turnaround, Niles still in trouble. Can Wildcard make it happen with just Saligo? Zamudo on a killing spree as Niles goes down. Saligo's the damage left up, jumps onto Auto Orange. Big damage onto the Kha'Zix. One more hit. Oh, he barely lives. As Maryville don't really have a front line anymore. It's just the Assassins, it's just the damage dealers. Nobody else will go down. Both teams decide, let's end this here. But Wildcard walk away with a lot of objectives.
Wow, I mean, Lens pulling up one of my least favorite plays I've seen so far today. That was a couple of clutch charms coming out from Get Back, though, catching a bunch of crucial people in those fights, stopping Zamudo in their tracks, making sure that Lens can't do anything in that fight. But we are still looking at the position where Wildcard up nearly 4,000 gold on their side, and they've actually been doing a really good job for the most part of making sure that Zamudo and Keel are set up to prevent Odd Orange from getting onto Lens. And so even with that one mistake they have made, they are in a fantastic position for this next Dragon. If they can bait Maryville out of their own base, get them to come fight them around the Dragon, Wildcard, this is their comfort zone. They love fighting around these objectives. They love fighting in a position where they are forcing their opponents to come to them. And it feels as though Lens is starting to really fit into a lot of the things that we were asking for them for the most part, right? One exception, obvious, very obvious exception, but for the most part, done a great job this game.
That is a good point. And also, I mean, you talk about the gold lead, it's even more than that because there's 4 ornaments on the Rift right now, so that doesn't factor in to the number you see on the screen. Saligo, ooh, chunked out by Odd Orange. We didn't want to hard commit to that play. Now Saligo goes back in. That is insane damage spread across all 3 members. As now Wildcard, they don't even need to have everybody on the Dragon setup. It's still 1 minute and 30 seconds. They're controlling the bottom jungle clear. They're controlling the push. Oh, Keel! Taking a lot of damage right there. These charms from Get Back are actually putting in a lot of work. Oh, Juja Barrage barely not enough to take down Keel.
A thumbs up comes through. Wildcard, this will probably dissuade them as Lens goes forward, actually.
Okay, they have, another charm onto Saligo. Get Back has been sniping these. Not allowing Wildcard any way on the flank. And just takes down Saligo. Zamudo in trouble now. The needlework slowing him down. Lens doesn't have a front line. He's going to have to fight his way out of this one with just Emilio and says, nah, I'm outie. Runs away. Now Dumper's all alone. Uh-oh. That's a lonely Emilio, and that is a dead Emilio.
And the big part about all of this, Steve, is these crucial mistakes coming out from Wildcard means that they will be fighting the Dragon in a 4v5. Their gold lead is shrunk to 2,000, obviously, plus the ornaments on top of that. But we've already looked at the gold value of these souls. It's worth about 4,000 on its own, and another, as you called it, crucial charm coming out from Get Back, keeping Maryville in the game. If they can get this Infernal Soul, we are right on back to even in this one. And Wildcard trying to set up in a 4v5 is basically impossible for them to try and do against all the flankers that they are presented with on Maryville.
Instant exhaust from Zyko as well. Got to give props to the supports for preventing a lot of Sleeker's damage before that charm came through. But now we're back to live, and the Dragon is up. Teleports, double TP from Wildcard. The solo laners are here to try and prevent Maryville from getting back into this one. Orange is already up there. He's going to have to go for a steal. Doesn't get it. Lens secures it. How's the fight afterwards? Zamudo already chunked out. He's down. Maryville claim 1. They're going to get Keel as well. And Baron is on the table. Huge pickups for Maryville.
Yeah, there's a Baron coming through. Maryville forcing Wildcard into these really uncomfortable situations over and over, even with 2 inhibitors down. Watch what Saligo goes for. He was last seen around the Maryville base. They can try and pick off Jerry.
Get Back cannot join this fight, though. Somebody has to stop the supers from pushing in. So Wildcard actually do have a 3v4 right now. It's going to have to come down to Saligo doing something crazy, though, if they actually want to pick up these kills. They do not have that front line. Lens slowed down. Scary Jerry holding the line right now, and Maryville will get this Baron and get themselves right back into this game. They got a gold lead. They got the big purple worm. Things are looking up for the collegiate representatives.
And we're seeing that Scary Jerry, one of the players that we were saying needed to step up, is really outranging everybody on the side of Wildcard. Absolutely insane gold graph, right? The little blip that we saw where Odd Orange dropped the Herald and got a bunch of kills over in the top side now looks so small compared to everything else that we have done since then. And Maryville, they don't have a ton of turrets to try and pick up outside the base, and so Wildcard will be looking at a position where they will need to try and defend. The inhibitors have respawned for Maryville, and well, we have said that yes, Saligo will be hard to match in a sideline by any one person. Problem is, again, it's a Kha'Zix. You never know if it's going to be only one person on the side of Maryville that you're trying to push against. And so Saligo kind of forced to rejoin the rest of the team.
I really want to see what, how much base they're able to crack with this Baron. Wildcard got 2 inhibitors.
Oh,
Keel just runs in there.
All right.
Says, no, I will defend this control ward. All right, fine, you can have it.
Yeah,
but how much of the base can Maryville crack right now? Because Dragon's up in 3 minutes. They have the Baron for another minute 45. If they can take down an inhibitor, ideally on the opposite side of the map, TPs will not be up for that. Actually, they might be. Yeah, no, TP should be up by that time. But either way, you can try and create pressure on the map so you can go for that Dragon Soul play. If you can't just end the game off of this Baron push here, we'll see what their strat is.
I do want to also call out one thing, because I know you were thinking about it. Kha'Zix resets, he doesn't have wings. He went for everything else. He's got the claws, he's got the spikes, he's got the extra invisibility, but no resets can come through from Odd Orange, so his leap is very important to track in these fights. It's the one gap closer that they have. Now let's pick up a turret here in the mid lane, and the problem for Maryville is that they're very reliant here on the charms from Get Back. He's been clutch with them so far, but it's way easier to do it when they're coming at you than when you have to do it in these siege situations. So as we start setting up, the wave clear is mid lane from both sides. Saligo, I want to see how much damage he can do with the static shiv. Still, half healthing the casters.
Yeah, doing a lot. Oh, Keel gets hit by another charm. You said it's easier when they walk into you. Well, how about don't walk into them? Oh, the True Shot Barrage snipes him
that might be it.
From downtown. Woo, all right. Well, Keel is feeling the pain of Maryville's composition now. We're wondering how much of the base they can crack. How about the same that Wildcard managed with their first Baron? Maryville turning this game on its head. But do they go for even more? They have a 5v4 for another 30 seconds. They have poke. They decide to walk away. Then we're not going for a game end yet. It is about controlling the access to this Dragon and trying to get even more done in this bot lane.
Yeah, and a couple of key mistakes, right? And another crucial charm landing from Get Back has been heroic coming out for Maryville. We have seen that is the 3rd time that they've gotten a charm which has resulted in a kill and prevented Wildcard from doing anything. They have been some of the best team fighters in the league, but they cannot express that when they're just playing 4v5 the entire time.
Losing their jungler, losing their top and middle inhibitor, and now losing their entire bot jungle. Wildcard have given up a lot off of that Dragon that they denied from Maryville. Ooh, that's not a great trade, as now Maryville have control over this next Dragon setup, but they will reset instead. They're all back. They spent their gold. It could come down to one final team fight.
Yeah, and Niles here on 5 items as well on the Gwen. Now trying to push out. They are expecting that Saligo is probably around here, and Niles is one of the few people that Saligo probably cannot do anything to between the Banshee's Veil and just the fact that it is a Gwen where you can go immune and get a ton of extra armor and magic resist for all these burst situations. But Wildcard are here for the Dragon first. Again, this is where they find their wins. Can they set up a wall that Maryville cannot get through?
Or, I mean, maybe even just give up the Dragon and have Saligo go for a big push here onto these inhibitors. There's 2 open
So
inhibitors.
dangerous. Yeah. That's super
See
dangerous.
Niles
I think
sticking with
Saligo
him.
tries and does that anyway. And so it'll be, what does Niles try to do? This open inhibitor in the mid lane. It looks like Wildcard are just going to be getting this Dragon uncontested and maybe a chase down onto Saligo.
Saligo
he's so
dancing
dead
around
now.
here, juking Niles as Wildcard are on the Dragon. Okay, Wildcard guarantee the Dragon for themselves. Maryville did not contest them for that. Can Maryville claim Saligo now? He's just going to take an inhibitor, sacrifice his life for it. Surely he falls as Odd Orange will chase him down. Oh, Saligo almost trades it back! Juking everybody out with that clone. But Odd Orange survives and Maryville pick up the kill.
Wow, one more auto attack was all it was going to take for Saligo with the Lichbane, with the static shift to find that kill. Does not find it, and Odd Orange is alive. It's a 5v4 for Maryville for 40 seconds. We said this was going to be the hardest team this weekend for Maryville to try and find a win against, and they are poised to do just that. They are marching down with all of the minions, and while they're knocked back, yes, that'll buy maybe 10 seconds, but that's still 20 seconds of Saligo being dead.
I think that's enough, though. I mean, Keeper's Verdict used in a creative manner. You like to see it from Keel here. I do not believe Maryville can end the game off of this push now. There should be enough wave clear between Lens and Zamudo, and now they're just going to go for an engage right here. Zamudo goes very far forward, has to flash away. Call Forge got used. Will he even live for the second cast? He does, but it goes a little off screen. You know what?
That's
It's
smart.
fine.
That's smart.
Job
He used
done.
that for the
Saligo's
dash.
up.
He used that for the dash. I promise.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
But it does buy them enough time. But you see how that started? That was another charm from Get Back. This man has been on point. He catches Lens, forces Dombra's ultimate, and everybody goes into full panic mode to make sure that this 80 carry survives. And so, Steve, once again, we are set up for a fight around the next Dragon 3 minutes from now. The Baron is alive already, but Wildcard has to try and deal with both of these game-ending threats.
Flash out of Saligo, True Shot Barrage will not land. Donbray and Keel walked all the way up here to get vision on the Baron. They've started the Baron. Niles just solo kills Zamudo in a side lane, and the game is falling apart for Wildcard. They made the decision to go for a sneak Baron. Maryville were still on the map, and now Niles is just going to end the game on his own. Get Back can teleport in there too. Stop the bags.
Oh, no, he doesn't
Stop
get
the
there. Oh, he
teleports.
does.
He made it. Saligo's in there, and he's just dead. Niles will get it done for Maryville, and they claim game 1 against Wildcard.
And we're going back to the classic version of Maryville. Niles there in the side lane, killing people and fighting all these fights. It feels, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, wow, there's no big fight to end the game, but we go back to the way that Maryville was winning the game back in 2020, back in 2021, where they're able to take down anybody who tries to challenge them. Great stuff from Maryville to try and play this more chaotic style, which we were praising Wildcard for yesterday. They are beating them at their own game.
Scary Jerry said the goal was 3-3, off to a great start as they now 2-1 on the weekend. Let's see what they have cooking for game number 2. We're going to send it to a short break before we bring back Beatdown for our Rally Cry halftime show. We'll see you there.